Good evening. Happy Wednesday, West Ham fans. Well, happy firework night if you're having fireworks. There's a lot of it, a lot of money being burnt overhead as we see. The dogs, strangely, have decided to not be frightened of them this year, and I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Packed show. Going to do a show of two halves. But in the first half, which is always very serious and very considered, we've brought somebody to give us a little bit of much needed expertise to the panel. So we brought Brian from West Ham Fan TV. Brian, how you doing?
Very well, very well. Good to be on. Good to see you, fellas.
Yeah, no, it's very good to have someone that I tend to actually shut up and listen to, which is very strange.
It's so rude, mate. He said this to us earlier on. So rude. You do bring a calming influence, Brian. Like I tell you, I must call this out now before we start. You've also got a fan in the chat, like genuinely a real fan. Because Claire, who mods our channel, I think I said this to you last time you were on with me, but she says you've got she's like, hey Brian, she's already calling you out. A very calming influence, and I think she said he's the sort of guy that I'd love him to read a story to me at night, like to kind of, calm it down a bit. So, big fan.
Claire, I'm here for you, man. I'm here anytime.
Don't tell her that, mate. She'll be. Don't tell her that.
It's nice to have a fellow Arsenal game. She's coming over for the Arsenal game. Let's get her a Brian t-shirt.
It's nice to have a fellow bald man on the show. It's quite symmetrical, isn't it? Like two blokes with hair at the top, it is. Two baldies at the bottom.
Very true, man. Normally on West Ham Fan TV, it's like you can, it's me, Nicky, and Lawless. So it's nice to see you.
How you doing, Martin? You all right?
I'm very good. It's been a wonderful week to be a Hammer.
Yeah, you won a game.
Spring in my step. Yeah. I know. I have a Newcastle mate that's normally very vocal and loud, and I haven't heard from him all week. So if he's watching, I just want to make sure he's all right. Just sort of give us a little message in the chat. You know who you are.
Hold up a minute. So you never took the opportunity to message him yourself after a win?
No, I can feel the pain in the silence. I'm just letting it roll. I'm rolling with it. I love it.
Don't rub it in too much because it will backfire.
Yeah, I know it will. That's the other thing as well. We can't get too cocky, can we?
Chris, you all right? How you doing?
Yeah, mate, buzzing, living the dream. What can I say? I've had an all right day. I've had my kind of my little debacle with West Ham, but maybe I'll talk about that later on. But
it's good to see that the animated version of David Sullivan's whispering sweet nothings in your ear.
Yes, the Sullivan Brady sandwich, and I'm right in the middle of it. Yes, I'd say it now. I'll say it now, mate. Jesus, yeah. I thought I'd put it up there. I need to use. This flag needs to lit. Need to have more exposure, mate. So just representing, mate.
5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. Right.
Bloody fireworks, mate. They're really loud. They're really loud at the moment. I don't like this. It's not good.
Well, it's what happens on firework night, but a bad night to be a fireman. This terrible. Used to know one. Right. Please, can you, if you watch this channel, please can you subscribe to the Bobby Moore Stand, give the video a like, and hit the bell notification icon. Let's get on with the show. So we've got not much news, really. 2 bits of news before we talk about the protest. Going to do it very quickly because if you want to see the long version, go and watch Gio's video from earlier. So I'm just going to go through very quickly what's happening Saturday because it's a very special event. And then we'll talk about Burnley. Before that, we'll talk about Newcastle briefly and what went right and can we repeat it against Burnley. And then we'll have a bit of fun in the second half. So first, some news. I can report that Nicholas Fulkrug has left the Oktoberfest because October came to an end. He's come back to London. He's training. He's ready to play against Burnley. But he's pining for home for some bratwurst and sauerkraut. And talking of sauerkrauts, his agent said that he's probably got to. He wants to leave. It's best for his player if he leaves. And Fulkrug himself has actually said that now as well. What do you think? Are we going to miss him?
I'll let you lads answer that one first.
Go on, Martin. Go on.
I was just going to say it's been a disaster, isn't it, from day one, really. Injuries, never really hit the ground running. We never really see any potential. Just one of them signings that didn't work out. Who'd have thought it? West Ham strikers, eh? Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, we got kind of carried away sort of like off-season, pre-season, where he's a guy that's got good charisma and stuff, and he's sort of like with all the comms, that we do really has a personality that shines through. And I think particularly off season as fans, we all got sort of like carried away thinking he's going to be one of the talisman of the team, etc. Maybe he's looking lean, he's looking fit. All of those things turned out to be true. But when the season started, it just reflected to be the same as it was last time, and much of a muchness. And it's just unfortunate. It just hasn't worked out for us.
Yeah, he's just not one of those players, it strikes me, who's capable of leading the line on his own.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Callum Wilson surprised me, for instance, on Saturday, because he was, I thought he played the Antonio role pretty well.
He had the bit between his teeth, didn't he? Because he's like former club and everything. He really wanted to, you could tell that meant a lot to him, considering he's never played against a former team, if that's right. So he seemed well up for it.
They gave him a proper kicking as well, but he was giving it back as well. He was, you know, they didn't leave unharmed. He was getting in amongst them. So it's good to see. But he only lasts 60 minutes, and then Fulkrug's off. Fulkrug's probably going to be the 30-minute player as long as Wilson stays fit for a while, maybe. Right, now for us to be a bit divisive, and that is, let's talk about Declan Rice, who last night went to, is it Slavia or Sparta Prague? Sparta, isn't it? Slavia? I don't know. Arsenal played away in Prague last night, and before the game or after the game, he put this out on Instagram that I can just about read. I hope you can read it at home, because I'm just going to make my screen.
Would you like me to read it for you, Gail? I know you struggle with your eyesight.
Says,
you're right
this
young age.
Because I was in the end. See there in the corner, Chris, 3 rows from the front. This exact end in the stadium. The best memories here. Forever grateful. And that received an absolutely brilliant response. As it, in my view, it should, because I saw that. I was angry after he left. Didn't want to say his name. Didn't want to, you know. But since then, I've healed. It's like losing the girlfriend that you really liked. That's the way I see it. And after a while, you just get over it, don't you? What do you reckon, Chris? You over it?
Yeah, I'm over it. I mean, Christ, it's been a while now, isn't it? You know, I mean, I don't think we're over it as a club because we never replaced him. But I think with regards to him, I've got no hate towards him.
No,
I don't. I'm just disappointed that I mean, God, it's old news, mate. At this point, he went to Arsenal, yes, of course, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, I've got a lot of respect for him. Still got a bit of love for him. But yeah, like you say, he's your ex-girlfriend. Kind of my ex-girlfriend, Brian's and Martyn's. So, you know, we've all had a go. We've all had a go, and we've all had enough. So, you know, we move on.
I know, and he has. You got to say, he's moved on to bigger and better things, and he's doing it, isn't he? He's doing it. Let's not get too excited about Arsenal at the moment. No, but I mean, they haven't won anything yet. But bloody hell, they look good. And he's, you know, he's their captain now, isn't he? He's captain in the Arsenal side.
Is he?
Yeah, I mean, or he's either the backup captain, but he has captained them quite a few times. I don't know if he's their regular captain, but I think he's only.
I think sort of like after Saka, so after Ødegaard, Saka's, I think it's vice captain, and then it's him. But he has added something to the team, and I think for them, they've pretty much done what Moyes done when he switched him and Souček round and played him in that sort of 8 role. And have like Zubimendi being the holding midfielder. And you know, we always saw at our team anyway that Dec had more to his game, basically. So it took everyone else for him to kind of move to Arsenal and do what he's doing, for people to kind of see that he's a quality player.
He really is. He really is. And we were just, I mean, it's amazing how much we've missed him and how much we've got it wrong trying to replace him. We haven't really tried to replace him. We've bought alternative players and tried to do things in a different way. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's finally dawning on us at exactly the right time that we need a replacement for Declan Rice. So it's kind of pertinent that we mention it. I'm going to talk about the protest now. There's no other news. Other than that, it's all people rowing back on their comments from last week, like Troy Deeney and Jamie Carragher. Basically saying, "Oh no, I expect they'll stay up now. They've got some good players." In summary,
they say that. I mean,
sort of thing. They've got a better chance, is what they said, pretty much.
Well, because we've surprised a few people off the back of that performance, they didn't think we had that in our locker, basically, right?
They completely wrote us off last week, which is exactly what I was doing, actually. So you know, whatever. It surprised us. It surprised us. So the protest on Saturday, protest number 4, by the way. And like I said, if you want the full details, the long version, the 12-inch remix, go over watch Gio's video from earlier with Paul Colburn. He tells you every single detail you want to know. Now, I was on a call last night with Gio and Nick, and Dan was supposed to be there from West Ham Fan TV, but it's basically Hammers Chat, Claret and Booze, West Ham Fan TV, and Bobby Moorstand. And any other channel that wants to be interested in doing this, please do. But there is a special video we're going to play at the end of this show. That's kind of a tribute to the march, and it's one of you look through that. If it doesn't make you teary, like it did with me, I was filling up. I almost leaked. But it has that effect on everyone the first time you watch it.
Sorry, you almost leaked. Sounds like wrong there.
Out my face.
I don't know.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
all right.
Right.
Just
So what's actually planned on Saturday is a march, and it's going to be a huge march. And there's a lot of thought and planning has gone into this. Honestly, I've been quite close to these Hammers United group. Don't realise how much work they're putting into this. I mean, it's so hard what they're doing to kind of get to bring all those disparate groups together to push in the same direction is a very difficult thing, and so it's a full-time job, even though they don't get paid for it. This is the timetable: 12:30. They want people to meet at Stratford Underground Station. 12. That is actually the time. It should say 12:15 on there. But this is the one they tweeted out. 12:30 is when it actually leaves Stratford Underground Station. You want to assemble around about 12:15 because it will leave 12:30 on the dot. All right, that's the important thing. It's going past a Pudding Mill Lane station for those who can't make the whole walk, because it's along the high street, up past the Carpenter's Arms, and then down to past Pudding Mill Lane station and down to the director's entrance on Marshgate Lane. So there's a little map on there as well. You'll find all this out there on X and Twitter. Go to look at Hammers United if you need it. But just remember one thing: try to be there around 12:15 Saturday morning and assemble there. You won't be able to miss the crowds, honestly. Now, what they've got planned for this is it's a kind of a the first part is kind of a memorial service for the West Ham that we currently see, as in these owners, a lot of misery over the last 15 years. And so it's going to be a kind of funeral. There's going to be a hearse. There's going to be a coffin. Going to carry the coffin down to the director's entrance together with the petition. Now, the petition is at 17,000 at the moment. We want to get it above 20,000. We know loads of people have had trouble trying to fill this thing out, but if you wouldn't mind, if you've failed to do it, not your fault, it's a nightmare to fill out, but you can do it. All you got to do is ignore all the pleas for money. You will get an email back, because as soon as you fill it out, it sends an email to your email address that you've entered. That email might end up in your junk folder, so go find it. You've got to click on the little link in that email, and then your vote is registered. Paul was saying today he reckons they've lost about 8,000, 9,000 votes because people thought they'd registered, signed it, but hadn't. So let's try and get it over 20. So if you haven't done it, please make that effort. And if you've got a problem, leave me a message in the comments of this video and I'll try and help you out.
Even if you think you've done it, just do it again, because a lot of people think they've done it and they haven't. And when you go through the process, it just lets you do it again. So let's just get it signed again. Everyone have another go.
Good point. Yeah, good point. I think we should. So anyway, that's going to happen. We've got Jeff Turner from the Cockney Rejects, Bill Gardner, and Nick from Claret and Booze handing over the petition. Nick set it up, right? There's going to be some huge badge, just like this one, but made out of it's about 3 foot by 4 foot. I think they're going to carry that down, representing the petition. So that's going to be handed over at director's entrance. We also can't forget it's Remembrance Weekend, and the club have some kind of ceremony for Remembrance Weekend. They're gonna get a current serving squad who's a West Ham fan plus one who's just been demobbed, and they're gonna carry a wreath to all the fallen soldiers, and they're going to take that down to the remembrance service in one of the fan zones. I suppose more information to follow on that. So just to let you know, it is remembrance. We're you know, I'll being respectful of that weekend. Everything's being done properly and for the right reason. Yeah, symbolically, it's about wiping away this era of West Ham and West Ham being reborn anew, because that's what will happen when we get new owners. Won't be too long now. Carry on joining the protests. So that's it. That is the news. Anything to add? Anybody?
No, I think you've covered it pretty well. In all honesty, I think, as I said the other day, I'm really looking forward to it. As I think, you know, any West Ham fan, any proper West Ham fan should turn up for this, because you'll be around, you know, other like-minded supporters, people that love this club, you know, inside and out. And it's a really nice feeling, you know, like I said before, and I repeat it again, when we went to the Crystal Palace one, when we played Crystal Palace at home, it was really nice to be surrounded amongst people that were so passionate, that love so much, you know, love West Ham so much. And this is going to be double, if not, you know, I think there's going to be there will be significantly more people there now. It'll be a good day for the right reasons, right? And I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. The game is not actually even in my mind, in truth. It's not. It's the beforehand that I'm actually more looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like a carnival atmosphere, just to point out, family-friendly carnival atmosphere. There'll be music. They'll be playing all sorts of West Ham tunes along the way. And so it will be brilliant. And if, like Chris said, if it's anything like that first one that we did, being surrounded by that lovely, friendly group of, you know, a lot of familiar faces in there as well, it was just a really good way to spend a couple of hours. You know, it made you feel good inside. So whether you go still, or whether, you know, you gave it up when we left Upton Park, or you've stormed out of that stadium, or whatever you've done, you're still a West Ham fan. You still count. So get yourself down there and join the protests. You'll be made very welcome.
Reminded me of Martin, but it reminded me a bit of, you know, the kind of feel around Upton Park at times, you know, just that type of feel, that type of atmosphere around those, you know, those supporters, because a lot of those supporters sadly don't go to West Ham anymore for the reasons that we all know. And these people are diehard West Ham United fans. So it's really nice. Even if you don't have a ticket for the game, I'd fully recommend and endorse going to this, because, you know, it'll be good. It'll be really, really good.
And this is not the end of the protest part. Oh, sorry, Brian, you were saying?
No, I was going to say, basically, like, what's great is the momentum's growing nicely. It's really growing nicely. It's another thing that's bringing everyone together, and we're starting to see external fans, also the media, they're starting to sway. You know, I mean, first of all, they were using all these protests to kind of beat us with a stick, you know what I mean, and criticize us. We're not getting behind the team, and why are you doing this now? Now the narrative's changing even from their point of view, and then it's putting more eyes and attention on the board, which is exactly what we want, and it's exactly what they don't want. So it's fantastic.
I feel like we've educated the media. I think outside looking in, they think it's about results, obviously, but slowly, one by one, they're starting to realise we're right, we're correct, we've been lied to, we've been sold it's a scam, really. We've been done really over.
Yeah, and it's amazing. There are still a few diehards like Martin Samuel, who claims to be a West Ham fan, still avid Gut fans at the drop of a hat, and you've got Jim White and Simon Jordan, who's bloody annoying, still finding an angle to have a go at West Ham fans. But there ain't many. A lot of the respected journalists, they see the wood for the trees now. They see that that's an athletic stadium, and they've stated their case. It's not going to change. They can't suddenly go back on it and say it isn't. So, and one thing a few people were saying, they were always calling West Ham fans fickle. That, if the team start winning on the pitch, we'll forget about it. And I think with some fans that's true, but that's like true of any club. Fact is, there's a hardcore of fans here who have not got short memories, and they will, and this will grow. And like you just said, Brian, every one of these protests have taken a different shape so far. There are lots more to come, including a nationwide one I heard earlier. Well, I heard about last night, which will be fascinating. But this is not going to stop until they go. It's going to grow and grow and grow. So get yourself on board. Even if you can't attend every one, just get yourself along to show your support, yeah?
Yeah.
Don't think as well, because it's protests and that, don't think it's aggressive. Like a lot of people are saying to me, can I bring kids and that? That is exactly what it's all about. It's families, old, young. This is not like a violent protest. It's far from it. It's
totally.
like real West Ham fans, like just making a point for their club, trying to save their club. Like, bring your children. Honestly, it's an iconic day that you need to be part of. Really,
I'm bringing
it's
my
gonna go
daughter,
down in
mate.
history.
I'm bringing my daughter. My daughter never comes to games, right?
Yeah.
But Fred can't go because he's working, so he's absolutely devastated. But yeah, I'm bringing my daughter along, so I wouldn't be doing that if there was any part of this where I thought it was going to be aggressive. It's not at all, not in the slightest. You know, it's going to be a peaceful protest with a carnival atmosphere.
It will be.
It'll be really, really good.
And if you're someone that used to go to games, you're bound to bump into some people that you saw that you know. And also I think a lot of the YouTube channels will be there anyway. So you look, everyone's friendly. That's what I found last time. Very easy to get on with. They knew why they were there. I bumped into some people on the train on the way down who don't go to football anymore. They were coming down purely for the protest. One of them had never been to that ground before. So it just goes to show, you know, maybe those people will come back. I think you get those tossers out of the club, it takes a bit of a cloud from above that stadium. We can start thinking about maybe how you can make that stadium better and whatever and move forward. But with them in there, that's looking down on us, I think it's never gonna work. Right.
Absolutely.
So that is the somber part over. Let's talk about happy stuff now. Let's talk about the performance against Newcastle quickly. So rightly so. I mean, we reviewed this to death the other night, and I was a little bit, I don't know, excited when I came home from that game. I think it's a word.
It's an understatement.
But
But
a
you know
long
what?
show, wasn't it?
I was frowning at Chris for giving Somerville a 7.5. I thought, yeah, fucking hell, got to do better than that, Chris.
Look, yeah, whatever. You know.
Yeah. But let's talk about, you know, what went right. Why was that game so right? Because a lot went against us in that game. But mentally, we were clearly there in a better place because it was conceding a goal against a counter attack, having a penalty, you know, not given for VAR, eventually getting an equaliser from Paquetá, and then having another goal disallowed, having a little slice of luck with the offside goal. But it was basically every time we went one step forward, it was one step back through VAR or through something the referee did, and it didn't bother the team. That's the thing I take away from that was the mental strength that we seem to have got from somewhere.
Yeah, it's something we haven't seen all season. That's the biggest positive for me because I've heard a lot of people saying Newcastle weren't at the races and we would have folded before. The last two games, if that would have happened in them games, we wouldn't have recovered from them. There was something different about that day. And that's the most positive thing for me. You start to sort of think, hold on a minute, we can get out of this. There's something to hang your hat on.
Yeah. I think it's the reaction is everything. I mean, when you go 1-0 down after 4 minutes, which we've experienced so many times, and we've folded like a pack of cards, right? And I think, you know, now, like after that performance at the weekend, it kind of makes you think that there's a bit of steel, there's a bit of resilience there. You know, we have got it. We have got it. And I do genuinely believe that. I actually think the way that game played out was almost perfect in a way, because had we gone 1-up, right, we wouldn't have actually had to deal with the adversity of going 1-0 down and bouncing back from that. So I think psychologically, I think that would have done the players the world of good. It would have been even better for them to go down and come back and win that way that they did. So I think that really bodes well, you know, hopefully for the upcoming games and you know, again, hopefully the Burnley game that we'll talk about shortly. Well, what did you make? Because I didn't speak to you about it, Brian. Yeah, but what did you think of the Newcastle performance?
Yeah, look, I think it was 60 minutes of class, to be honest with you. I think the first half was amazing. I think, like Gary pointed out, it's great when you get a game whereby you keep bouncing back from a difficult situation, like the ref and VAR, etc., etc. I think for me, there are several things that were good. Starting with the basics, the team lineup was what we were all hoping for. You know, round pegs, all in their right position, etc. No experimenting with that. I think what we showed is a lot of desire. We showed a lot of character. There was definitely a lot of resilience. I think after conceding that first goal, you looked at the players, especially Bowen, he was gutted. But as soon as the whistle went for the restart, the players just kind of went on this press. And that's something we haven't seen, not only just this season. I'd go as far as back as most of last season under Potter and Lopetegui. And I think there was definitely a hunger in the guys, and like there was a lot more talking and communicating, particularly in midfield. And this is why we're all waxing lyrical about Potts, because I've had conversations with non-West Ham fans who were saying, look, I think that we're hyping him up a little bit. And the thing for me is, what people who don't follow us need to understand is, effectively, we've got a kid there. We've got a 20-year-old who's going up first start, for the team, playing at home. It's got arguably the best, or at least within the top 3 midfield in the division, who I thought, they could really have muscled up on him and the rest of our midfield. So the fact how he played the way he did, and it was a lot of off the ball stuff as well, I thought it was really good. I think the setup was right. For me, it looked like a 4-1-4-1 in possession and like a flexible 4-3-3 out of possession. But the basics, having a vocal person up front that gives us someone an out ball along with Somerville on that side. So, someone who we can turn the defence on their opposition defence on their back, and basically having some legs in the middle. And boy, did Fernandes and Potts provide that. And Paqueta had a really, really good game. And when he's up for it, it does make a difference for us. It really does. Yeah. And I think Nuno played a big part in that as well, because he hyped him up as well, saying, he wants he wants him to pretty much be the talisman for the team and stuff like that. And I think he's the type of player that will really thrive off that sort of, boost and responsibility. And with Paqueta, it's about keeping it simple. The more he keeps things simple and doesn't take risks in tricky positions, the more it benefits us. But
I just think that, I agree with everything you said there. Potts, that kind of partnership, that seemed to be developing in midfield between Fernandes and Potts. I mean, the first one to put in a tackle was Fernandes. When you look back at the highlights on Match of the Day that Michael Carrick focused on with Rob Green, I don't know if you saw it, but that's what he said, and the clips that he picked out. I didn't realise he did all that live in the game. I knew he was good, but my God, his anticipation and reading of the game was fantastic. He was like, and I used to always accuse Deck, I don't want to draw comparisons with Deck, right? But what he used to do for us all the time is pop up in somewhere you didn't expect him to pop up, to cut out a move or something like that, because he read the game so well. Yeah. And that is exactly what Potsy was doing. And he did it time and time again. I didn't think he did, but he did. And to get that kind of praise from Carrick is pretty impressive, really.
When I watched it back, when the fullbacks went on, Potts naturally just went back and covered for Wan-Bissaka, or he went in between and split the centre backs. He was doing it naturally. He weren't sort of thinking about it, and then he was talking to them and telling them that I'm moving back up now. It's brilliant. I'd love to just see a player cam on him that whole game.
Yeah,
he was so confident.
He was vocal, He was vocal. Yeah. I mean, I could hear him. I mean, I could hear him at times, and obviously I'm in the second row. I could hear him shouting, and for a young kid to be doing that speaks volumes, and I love that. We were saying the other day that, and again, we don't want to kind of get ahead of ourselves here, but potentially,
leader.
For sure. I mean, it's in his DNA. His dad was West Ham captain as well, right? I mean, and we'd love nothing more than to see a youngster come through and captain the club like Declan Rice did as well. But he's actually a West Ham fan. Declan Rice wasn't a West Ham fan. He was a Chelsea supporter, right? So I'd love to see that. But he seems to have that natural leadership ability about him for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't intimidate easily. If you look at the Wickham team that he played for the year before last, when we got knocked out by Wickham, the youth team got knocked out of that cup competition by Wickham. I went there, it was freezing that night. When they ran out, it looked like a group of fully grown area-ass blokes versus kids. Really did. There was a massive size difference. And it was that season that Potsy got their player of the year. So this whatever he was then, 19-year-old, swanned in there and fucking bossed the place.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's tested League One. He's tested League One. He's been tested out in the Championship, so it's the natural, progression and transition for him. So, I think, there's no way that he will get dropped now. There'd be a mutiny. There'd be a mutiny if they managed the team.
Do you know what? Look, the other thing as well, we have to kind of like highlight the centre backs as well, because as dreadful as they've been all season.
How do you think that happened? That he swapped them around? Yeah, explain to me, Brian. Because how did they suddenly become quite good?
I think so. I was thinking about this, and I don't know. There's definitely some thoughts being gone into it tactically, and I don't know if it's to do with the pairing of the fullbacks in terms of like, you know, swapping them around and how Wan-Bissaka can contribute with Kilman and etc. to Talibo. You know, there's something in that, I feel, in terms of the awareness, the anticipation of the fullbacks and covering for the opposite sides, because on the right hand side, naturally, if you look at Tadibo and Wan-Bissaka, they can both have a lapse of concentration at any given moment. So that, you know, if they're playing all right, let's look at Wan-Bissaka mainly. If he could be doing everything right, and he could have that one lapse of concentration, and someone runs in behind, or he doesn't anticipate something, and it undoes a lot. So I think swapping them around, just it kind of did something which I can't really explain. But it looked and felt right. Yeah.
But you not think though, Brian,
but Tadibo kept getting his head on the ball early on. This guy who completely misjudged the header in that game a little while ago, you know, misjudged the flight of the ball. He seemed to be perfectly comfortable. It was odd.
The thing is, going back to what you said there, Brian, right, about, you know, communication as well and lapses in concentration, right? So, but the problem is, and this is the thing, is that all of our centre-backs are culpable of that anyway, you know, whether it's Kilman or Tadibo. So swapping them around, you know, it's interesting because does that necessarily change that? I mean, clearly something changed, but I mean, I can't get my head around it. I suppose the only thing I can look at it in very simple terms is the fact that it can't get much worse. So let's see what happens if we switch them around. I'm just looking from a very basic point of view, because I think they all lack in concentration, the whole of the back four, and that's been proved evident for pretty much every game this season. So I just don't know. But whatever happened, it works. You know, the changes worked, but it's a strange one, isn't it? It's a real strange one. But fair play to Nuno for getting it right.
Yeah, I think that's the root of it, Chris. Sorry, I had a thought the other day. Did he swap them round to keep them concentrated? They was both on their opposite sides to change the game. Yeah, you got to be switched on all the time, because suddenly it's not the norm.
Yeah, then you could also argue and just you could also look at it from another simple perspective and say, well, actually, this game become more than a must win. I mean, they just had to win this beyond it. You know, I mean, bearing in mind it's Newcastle, we've obviously lost to, you know, all these other rubbish teams. Sorry, with respect, you know, the Brentfords and so on. Yeah, there was no version of this where the players couldn't come out and perform. They had to perform. So, do you think that even if they did put Tadibo in his usual position and Kilman, that we still would have come out with a similar result? Because I just think there was so much of a need and desire to come out and win that game. I just don't know. You know, I don't know the answer.
I think there's more to what Brian just said, because that is in the relationship with the fullbacks, because even the fullbacks were better. Wan-Bissaka was far superior, and I was watching, it was over my side in the first half. Kilman and him seemed to be communicating nicely, and didn't see much of what was going on the other side with Tadibo and Diouf, but Diouf was not getting done like he's been getting done regularly recently. I mean, he put in a tackle in the second half. You could hear it fly around the ground. It was perfect. It's the sort of stuff he was doing several weeks ago before Arsenal, right? So it must have been something to do with that relationship. But it seems, you know, long may it last. Let's do it again.
Well, you need to get it right at the back, right, and then build from the back. Yes. And I think that's the thing. It gives the midfielders confidence, and then it gives the attackers confidence. So the fact that we got that thing right fundamentally was significant in terms of getting that win. So whatever happened, it was right, and you know, hopefully we stick with it. I don't think Nuno's going to be tinkering around with the lineup anymore. I don't think he needs to. I think you just got to stick with that, haven't you? Pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. I think going back to Gary's point as well, with regards to the centre-backs winning everything, that's got to be something that Nuno said he wants to change, because throughout the whole season, we're not winning first balls, second balls, and they're not small guys. Do you know what I mean? They're 6'4", and they're getting beaten all the time. No matter what the size of the opposition. So that was something that really shone through in terms of winning balls. You know, Kilman getting up first for corners, Tadibo winning first balls, etc. So that's a thing. And on your point as well, Chris, like I think all the way down the middle we were pretty good, from Areola all the way up to Wilson. We really looked good, and the only concern for me is on paper I feel we've got a really good 11. Then after that it gets a little bit scanty. So therefore, second half, it was a bit of a nail biter, if the truth be told. Like once it got to that last sort of 20 minutes and we were out on the ropes, etc.
I don't know, Brian. I was fine when Igor came on. I was fully confident. You know what I mean? Please don't. And his thighs. He's got thighs like fucking tree trunks. That guy.
Yeah,
just saying. He's a unit. He's a unit. But yeah,
I think it's obvious that he's worked so hard on them balls coming into the box at both ends as well. We went into that game fearing the worst, didn't we, against Newcastle? And to be honest, we looked a better threat from corners. We defended all of their corners.
Yeah.
Areola was punching them. Everything was 100% focused. Yeah.
Even Areola was better. I've got a theory on this. It's probably not true, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I reckon Nuno, as an ex-keeper, he put on, because it would have been a green goalkeeper's top from back then, right? He put on his green top. He still keeps it in his sports bag that he brings to work every day. He put it on, brushed himself down, went in goal, hired a couple of those tennis ball firing machines that fire footballs, right? And he just sat behind Tadibo and Kilman for like 3 solid days, telling them what positions to be in. And Areola stood and watched. He observed. He said, "This is how you manage your defenders, right?" So it's just a theory. It might not have happened. It might not.
But there's a chance it might have happened, Gal. There's a chance it might have happened. But no, I love that idea. I mean, it's just old school. Right? It's old school. But I think it's well, maybe it is a coincidence. But they also had the new goalkeeping coach, right?
Yeah,
hired literally within the week before. So I don't know. Whatever happened, it worked really, really well. But I think ultimately, regardless of what the lineup is against Burnley, even if it's the same lineup again, we just need to have that same level of intensity. That 110%, level of performance, because anything less than that's not going to get us results. And I said it before, I'll say it again. I think every single thing that we expect, week in, week out is 110%, from every single player. And if you get that, you can beat the bigger teams. You can beat the bigger teams, and we proved that against Newcastle because we made them look inferior. We were far superior to Newcastle at the weekend. And honestly, if you didn't even know anything about football, but you watched that game, you would think the West Ham were the better, not just in terms of that game, but you'd think they've got a better team than Newcastle. You would think that.
And you can brush it away and say, "Oh, Newcastle were crap," but
no, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. It annoys me when people say that.
They scored a blinding goal to start with, right? Really clinical finish.
Yeah, that annoys me when people say that. I mean, I saw loads of these idiots on TikTok, like, we were shit. And that thing that you sent me the other day, like rating all the players 0, like each. It's just like,
funny.
You know what?
0.
But we nullified their threats. Yeah. The game plan was spot on, and Nuno deserves the credit for that. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Newcastle were at their full pump. Clearly they weren't. But I think we nullified a huge amount of the quality and the threat that they posed to West Ham. So we deserve the credit for actually basically making them look a much more inferior opponent to us. So I hate when people say that. It annoys me. Oh, Newcastle crap, that's why you won. No, I'm not having that.
It wasn't just a lucky win, was it? That whole performance was really, really good. And there's something to, when they're at the training ground, Nuno can say it worked. What I told you all last week worked. And then you can build off that. It's not just a lucky win, a smash and a grab. That was a good performance.
100%. And they all went into it. They all, all of the Newcastle fans went into that game very confident, very, very confident.
Oh, yeah. You remember last season when we were crap under Loppy and we went to Newcastle when they were flying and we beat them?
Yeah.
And it was an amazing performance. I hope he's not one of them, but I did mention that to Geordies in the pub before the game. I said, don't forget, don't be overconfident. But let's go through a few comments and then we'll focus on how we're going to inevitably beat Burnley on Saturday. Scott Parker's Burnley. A few players now criticising Potter, aren't they? Didn't know that. What they saying about him. Jeff Stelling and Ray Parler now understand the fans' point of view. That's new for Jeff Stelling. Ray Parler's a West Ham boy anyway, and my sister used to live in the house that he used to live in. We know that because when she peeled the wallpaper off one of the rooms once, it said Ray Parler was here. So she confirmed it with a next door neighbour, and the next door neighbour sort of frowned when he heard the Parler name. And
I thought maybe it'd be ginger pubes in the plug hole or something.
He just had this one abiding memory of the Parler family, and that was he was outraged. He had to buy a taller fence because of this. He built a garden shed out of old doors.
Wow.
What I'd like to ask Ray Parler is, was there more than one way into that shed?
I love the way your mind works, Gary.
I know, it's weird. Yeah. Potts has nearly 100 games. Well, he has 130 odd, 135, I think now, games under his belt. So, he's, you know, they are at lower league levels, but that's got to do you good, right? For a young kid, he has an amazing football brain. Yes, he does, Claire.
Yeah, amazing.
I enjoyed that result. Oh, no. That's people talking amongst themselves. Parler is a West Ham fan, indeed. Potts has done well. Apprenticeship, yeah, well served. Notice that Martyn. Notice that too, Martyn. I don't know what it is. What do you notice too? These are too old now. Parler lived and drank in Horchurch, where he lived in Romford, Wildway, Romford, to be precise. I can actually think of the door number, right? Potts shouting at them kept awake. Yeah, I wonder if he had like a couple of alarms going. He had an Apple Watch on each wrist, one for Tadibo and one for Kilman. Don't know. Time to get up. Gio reckons the centre forward pulls to the right, and maybe he wanted Tadibo. Okay, that's interesting. Fancy fucking Gio coming up with something a bit scientific. That's all wrong. Right, what else we got? Will the childhood photos continue to have an impact? So apparently before the game, Nuno put childhood photos. The thing about Nuno, he's very, very articulate, very well spoken. He speaks with passion. I wouldn't. I think in a one-on-one situation, somebody who speaks like that, like from the heart, he would be able to inspire somebody like Paquetá. Because he speaks he speaks 4 languages fluently, doesn't he? One of them's Portuguese, which is Paquetá's language. So he's, he speaks English better than most English people, doesn't he?
There's a brilliant training video where he's talking to someone in English, really well, articulately. And then he just suddenly turns around to Guilherme and just talks like Portuguese and then goes back to English. It's brilliant.
Yeah, but it's just the pronunciation and everything. It's really, really, really accurate and concise. I love it. Green sweat top for Clough. Yeah, bring him back. Bring back the sweat tops. And what was the big coats that they used to wear? The old managers,
sheepskin ones.
Like sheepskin ones. Yeah.
Do you know what? I had one of those last season. I'm not even joking, right? I turned up. No, it was like a bomber sheepskin. It wasn't a long one, but it had the collar. The kind of one like you look like you're flying a fucking aeroplane or whatever. And I got a stick for that. I've not worn it since. I was walking from the pub to the ground, and everyone, all the boys were shouting out to me. So where's your fucking helicopter? Where's your plane, Chris? I was like, oh, sod this. I've never worn it since.
Did you have the tanned one though? The tan,
it was brown.
One, it was white.
You did have the fighter pilot one then. You did.
Yeah, I did. I think Danny was in the chat. He'll tell you. I think he was the one who was shouting
Did you have the thing hanging down like the fight helmet with the thing?
Yes, Gary. I also had aviators on as well. I had it all on here, mate.
You got any pictures?
Fucking hell, mate. What do you want?
Right. So
no, I don't.
Let's talk about Burnley then. I'll find some more. I'll find some more comments in a minute. But what do you reckon about Burnley? Let's go to Chris first for a change. Chris,
for a change,
how many we're going to win by, and how do you see it panning out?
Well, I mean, Burnley an interesting team, right? I mean, if you look at their stats right now, so last 5 games, they've won 2, lost 3. So I'm looking at the results right now. So the most recent game, they lost to Arsenal 2-0 at home. They beat Wolves away 3-2. They beat Leeds at home 2-0. Lost to Villa 2-1 away, and lost to City. Got thumped by them away 5-1. If you look at their stats, I'm getting a little bit kind of anal with the data, right? But they've got they've basically conceded the 3rd highest amount of goals in the Premier League this season. Obviously, Wolves have conceded the most, and West Ham are down there as well. So I think we've conceded, is it 21 goals? I think, and Wolves have conceded 22. So what that kind of tells you is defensively they ain't the strongest, right? They're not. But then neither are we, right? If you look at the past games, neither are we, and they'll be thinking the same thing. It's funny because when I look at Burnley last season in the Championship, they conceded like 16 goals all season in the Championship. And I remember thinking, how will they do in the Premier League this season? And I thought, well, defensively, I think they'll be okay. But then just goes to show you the golfing difference between, the Premier League and the Championship. So, they've already conceded more this season than they had in the whole of the last campaign.
Mental.
But they're an inconsistent team. But one thing you can say is that away from home, they're not very good. They've only won 1 game away from home this season. So, in theory, that sounds quite promising for us. It does. But then equally,
mean.
you can fuck off, Claire. Right? I don't. Fuck you know, unbelievable. Yeah, but you're going back to Burnley. You could look at one of two ways, because typically when a team's got that type of kind of track record, you think, well, they'll probably beat us away because they're usually rubbish away. But I think it's a game that we can win. I think they do have some good players. In fairness, they do. I was looking at their team in terms of how they've been performing this season. Their fullbacks, if you look at their left back, I can't remember his name. Is it Hartman? I think his name's Hartman. He's got 4 assists already this season. That's more assists than Paqueta's got in the last 50 games, right? So he's got 4 assists. He's a threat. I think on the other end, you know, on the other side of the pitch, on the right hand side, at right back, they've still got Kyle Walker, who's still a very, very good player. So they've got some good players there. And then if you look at some of the other players they've got that potentially could pose threats, you've got Jaden Anthony as well. I think he's scored like 4 or 5 goals this season. And they've got pace coming off the flanks, which typically a lot of Premier League teams do. So they're not a team that we can underestimate. They're a team that we need to respect. But equally, they are a team that I believe we can beat. You know, player for player, we've got a better team than them. But for me, this game, in truth, like I kind of feel a lot of games is going to be won in that midfield battle, because they play, I think it's the 4-2-3-1 formation. They've got a double pivot of Josh Cullen and I can't remember the other geezer's name. We need to win that battle. So our midfielders need to be switched on exactly the same way they were against Newcastle if we're going to get anything out of the Burnley game. So it won't be an easy game, I don't think. But one thing I will say is I cannot see a game where there will not be any goals in this. I think there's going to be maybe quite a few goals in this. It wouldn't surprise me if it's another like 3-1 or a 3-2 or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So that's my thoughts on Burnley,
Yeah, Brian?
Brilliant, Chris. Mate, couldn't have summed it up any better.
We'll give it a go. Give it a go.
Give it a go. Because
when he was reading out all them stats there, I visioned him in his sheepskin coat like John Motson. Just needed some snow around him.
Do you know what, Martin? Fuck you, motherfucker. Motherfucker.
Chris, you let that one out the bag. You never should reveal that. You never should have told us about that.
I'm not. No, well, you know what? I'm going to wear it anyway. I might even wear it this weekend. Just in defiance. I'll be wearing it with the aviators, and I'll have a fucking headset on as well. I'm going to do the lot. Yeah. I'll even bring a fucking wheel with me, like I'm flying a plane. All right.
And the shades.
No wheel on the plane.
Of course, mate. The aviators will be on. I'll even have the Top Gun music playing as well. You know, I'll have it all going on.
100%. Listen, I think it is a game we can win. I think the result is definitely based on us rather than Burnley. I think Burnley will set up how they've set up pretty much all season, and they will be tricky to beat. Fullbacks have been impressive this season, but I think if we approach the game with the same mentality as we did against Newcastle, it's for us to lose. Now, it's one of those games where if we do lose or drop points, it kind of resets everything back a little bit. So it's very important we get a win in this game just to basically go level on points on them and basically keep the gap, keep it very reachable.
International break, isn't it? Straight after that.
Yeah, and it's the best way. It's the best way to sign off with back-to-back wins. I think for me, he's got to line up with the same system and the same personnel, basically. And yeah, I just think we need to apply that same pressure and same press as we did, as we showed in the first half. And then hopefully we can get. I think it will be a tight game though. It will probably be a 2-1 game. I feel we can pull it 2-1. But there is a slight side to me that is a little bit apprehensive as well, because we've seen it before, right? We've beaten the decent team. We've gone against the lesser team, and when we've dropped points in a really unconvincing fashion. So it is one of those ones. I just hope the players use all of that same tenacity and effort, courage, all the stuff they showed at the weekend, and then take that and apply it into this game.
I think Rex's comment here, of course they'll be targeting 3 points, because there's very few teams that they're going to be genuinely targeting 3 points at, but they ain't going to get 3 points. Martin, what do you think?
Much of the same, really. They're going to be hard to break down, the defensive solid unit, but it's going to be all about the mentality. I mean, I think they need to treat it as must win. It needs to be like a cup final. We need to be pressing them, winning that midfield battle. And it can just be won just by that, really. That same intensity
defensively. I mean, like I said before, they've conceded a third most amount of goals in the league this season. So I think there's goals to be had. There's goals to be scored in this game. I do think that, right?
Yeah.
Burnley are the team. You know, we are the team that Wilson scored the most goals against. Burnley are the third.
Oh, really?
He scored. Yeah. He always scores against Burnley.
So has he got about 50 goals against Burnley then?
Yeah, and he always he always scores against promoted teams.
Yeah,
as well. So
interesting.
This is his time. I think we come out. I mean, I'm going to be wildly optimistic. Of course, I'm in an upbeat mood. Soon change, can't it? But I just think if that was a very high quality performance the other day, and I think if we deliver another high quality disciplined performance like that, I don't see Burnley, especially with the attack as well. If you've got that solid base and a solid midfield, we've got so much in attack when they're flying. I don't mind counter attack football when it's played that way, with pace and with because of my favourite thing on a football pitch is to see a winger running at a defender. And so for me, Somerville, I love watching him. The pace is just incredible. I think once Somerville finds his final ball, it will come. Once he finds that final ball, I think you're going to see someone as contributing goals and finding the striker. And maybe it comes Saturday.
That'll be an interesting challenge, actually. Somerville up against Kyle Walker. That'll be a big test for him.
To rinse him.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. Kyle Walker's still very fast. I watched him the other day.
He's 48, Kyle Walker.
What are you on about 48? No, but he's still got pace. I mean, he's one of the fastest players out there. So I think it's going to be a real tough test
Jimmy,
for him.
is he? Yeah, it's fast for Jimmy, is he?
Yeah, but he's more physical than Somerville. But like I say, it'll be an interesting challenge that. And I think if he can get through that one, and hopefully rinse him, like you say, then I think that'll give him the world of confidence going into future games. But as Brian said just now, I think this game is really important because back-to-back wins, getting 6 points on the spin is massive for West Ham, particularly when you look at the league table, you look at where Burnley are, because I was concerned before the Newcastle game that had we not won that one and we lost to Burnley, because that's the mindset I was in at that point, there would have been a 9-point gap between ourselves and Burnley. And it'd be that's significant. I mean, that is huge. But now we can actually bridge that gap quite, we'll be right up there, basically very close to being in sort of 17th position, hopefully, by the end of the weekend. So
the dizzy heights of 17th. Well, so we need to be by Christmas, by January, to my mind, we need to be very much almost at 20.
Yeah. 100%.
17, 18, 19, something like that. Well on the way to 20, because the way it was panning out, we're going to have to end up winning one game in two. We don't want to leave a challenge like that, right?
I mean, the ideal scenario, because I know we spoke about this when we were on the phone, was it yesterday? I can't remember, but 20 points would be ideal because it's the half-season point, So, realistically, 40 points is going to keep you up. But if we can get over 20, I think that would put us in a really good place. Maybe that's being a little bit too optimistic or asking a little bit too much, bearing in mind the amount of games and the tough games we've got coming up. But if we could get that surely has got to be the goal for Nuno to say, right, lads, we need to make sure that by the time we end this year, we need to be on 20 points minimum. We need to be. And then I think we've got a chance.
I know I'm not being funny here, right? But if we start blowing teams off the pitch and we're 20 plus at Christmas, Sullivan ain't getting the wallet out, is he?
I can't think that far ahead, guys. Is the truth. I can't.
No, I'm just saying.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But it's hard. I know, and you're right. You're absolutely right, because
we all want to see it, but we know what happens in January when he doesn't have to spend. He won't spend. But having said that, Fulkrug's got to go, which means he's got to bring someone else in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, he has to bring someone else in because Wilson's not going to be enough, and neither will Callum Marshall. I don't think he's quite ready yet to be a starter. So I think
Tony would be just the best signing ever. He's guaranteed goals. He's hardly ever injured. He's a good 2 or 3 years left in him. I don't see us paying for him though. I don't see us paying the wages.
Do you honestly think? No, Sullivan's never going to pay that much money. He's going to have a heart attack.
I think it's nonsense.
He would do. I mean, is he on about 400 or 500 grand a week? So is that realistically going to happen?
Yeah, but that's because it's tax free over there, right?
No, I get that, but even so, it's still significant when you look at our highest earner at the moment. Who's that? Is that I think it's Jared Bowen on about 120, I think, something like that.
150. Paquetá.
Is it 150? Okay, so they're the highest earners, Paquetá, and then you've got obviously Bowen, and I think even Kilman's up there, and bizarrely, so is James Ward-Prowse as well. So if you get James Ward-Prowse off the books and get a shot of his salary, I don't know, but you're right. He would be the ideal type of striker for West Ham, someone that's basically physical, real physical presence up top. But I don't know what
the Thomas Frank team as well, right? So it'd be perfect for that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'd love to see a sign him, but I think maybe it's asking a bit too much.
I think he could go to Spurs and Spurs could spring up the table. I don't want to see that. I definitely don't want to see that.
Spurs. I don't know if you. I think I was talking to you about this briefly yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw it, Martyn or Brian, at all. But after the Spurs, I was watching the Spurs game the other day, right, when they lost, and obviously they played really, really badly. And then after the game, there was I think it was Carragher doing a real kind of deep analysis on the actual game. It was really interesting because he was talking about their midfield, how dysfunctional they are, but also the lack of creativity that midfield has as well in terms of line breaking passes, right?
Yeah.
And they have got possibly one of the least creative midfields in the Premier League. And then what they did was they brought up a table of all kind of basically 8s and 10s, across every single Premier League team, showing how which players have had X amount of line breaking passes into the final third of the pitch.
Yeah.
And the players that they had in there was really interesting. And I thought you never would have thought it, particularly when people were digging out Lucas Paqueta, and I'll come into it in a minute. But I think it was Bruno Fernandes was up there with around about, and I can't remember the exact numbers. I think it was like maybe about 9 or 10 line breaking passes, right? Doesn't mean they're assists, but significant passes that got through into the final third of the pitch. Then you've got like Declan Rice, Bruno Guimaraes was one. Who else did they have? I think Zubimendi, Szoboszlai. Then after that, it was Lucas Paqueta and Matías Fernandes. So it just goes to show that we do have that we do have those players that can get the ball into the final third of the pitch. But what we don't have at the moment is a fox in the box that can score those goals. So when people talk about Lucas Paqueta not getting the number of assists that he should be getting, there is some element of truth in it. But equally, I'm not digging you out, Gal. I'm just saying, right? But there is some element of truth in this.
Chris.
No, but if you look at it objectively here, we've got Callum Wilson up front, right? Who's not the Callum Wilson of old. We've had Nicholas Füllkrug, who sadly has not worked out for us. We've not really played with an exceptional striker, or anyone that we could even really classify as being a top 8 level striker in the Premiership. So the way I see it is we do have enough in the engine room to create chances. We just don't have people at the upper end of the pitch, the top end of the pitch, that can finish those chances, apart from basically Jared Bowen, who's clinical. That's the problem. So we do need a striker. And then I think we would possibly have the ammunition for that striker.
My problem with Paquetá is he plays the ball through the lines, whether there's a player there or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, for me, I know the guy is great, man, but I still find him really frustrating. I find him really frustrating. But when he has a good game, it's undeniably. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was unbelievable at the weekend. And
can I ask you a question, Brian? Right, when you talk about Paqueta, let's wind back a little bit here. Let's say we were talking this time last week instead. Would you have dropped Paqueta for the Newcastle game based on how he'd been performing? Because a lot of people were calling it out. Weren't they, Gal?
I was, I honestly, and I'm pleased to be wrong. I'm always delighted to be wrong where it's West Ham and something positive's happened.
Yeah, of course.
Because I love that bad bastard version of Paqueta, the one who's just petulant and just really hyped up. He was really up for a tussle. You could see it right in front of us. He was loving the challenge. I always remember,
and that's one thing
when him and Alvarez played away to Luton. They loved that game. You could see it all over their face, right?
No, you're right. That was we were comfortable until the end. But that one thing about Paqueta is he does do the dirty side of it as well.
Yes.
He does. He puts a challenge in, and he works really, really hard. On these days, he's a good player. But I'm just looking at our fixtures, and I think basically for me, looking at sort of like the run of games after the international break. We effectively got to do like what we done against Newcastle and beat like a top 8 side, because you're looking at Bournemouth, Liverpool, Man United, and then there's like Brighton and Aston Villa, etc. Got to get something out of those games. But I think that run right at the end of the year, so from the 27th of December, so Fulham, then Brighton, Wolves, and Nottingham Forest, with 3 of those 4 games being at home, and the Wolves game is the one away. I think that's a really, really key part of the season, where we end this year and start next year, where there's 12 points up for grabs, which we can get something from. I think it's really crucial that. But thinking of something that Chris said to me, it's a couple of weeks ago. It's about staying in touching distance. You don't want to get cut adrift where you're chasing and you're too far away. There's a lot of work to do, because then that adds pressure, and the mentality of the players can be affected. But I just feel we definitely need to get we need to pull off a result against one of those teams. Probably like someone like United or even Bournemouth. You know, Bournemouth or United are both teams that I could see us, based on past history, and how we've performed, like at Bournemouth away, and in recent history of United, more at home rather than away. But they're games that I think we could probably get something out of them.
Yeah, I think we can. I think we can as well. And those 4 games you just read out over Christmas, that could take us into a relatively nice place in January. But it just means, like James says here, thanks for the £5. It is pounds, not euros, isn't it? Yeah, cheers, James. After the Newcastle win, he's made this weekend a must-win match. I think it is a must-win, nothing less than a win. If there's any open for staying up, so I think you're bang on there. We cannot slip up in this one. It's probably it's just as pivotal a game as you're going to get in it.
Yeah. The timing of this fixture is perfect. I think if we wanted to go into a game, you'd probably pick Burnley and maybe Wolves at home next, wouldn't you? So we've really got to win this. We have a chance of back-to-back wins. 2 really good performances.
I don't think a draw is enough, in my opinion. It's not.
It's got to be a win. It's got to be a win. So let's have a look at. Let's do some predictions. So Martyn, what's your prediction? Be positive.
I'm going to go 3-1. 3-1.
See, I was going to do that. I can't do it now.
But I was going to do it because that's always my prediction. So I can't do it either.
Brian, you said 2-1, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm going 2-1. We'll go 2-0 up and concede quite late in the second half.
Oh, don't say that.
A little bit of squeaky bum time, but 2-1.
Well, why is it always like that? Why can't we just end the game nicely? Chris?
I'm going to go 3-0 because I was going to go 3-1. I'll say 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah. I was going to go 3-1, and I had this kind of thing in my head where it was going to be kind of like 2-1, and they went up the other end, tried to score the equalised, and we went up the other end and scored the winner, like effectively making it 3-1. But I can't really do that now because I feel like I'm copying you because he asked you first. So I'm going to say 3-0.
I'm going to say 3-0. I'm going to copy the head of security, Claire. 4-2. 4-2 I'm going for. Big high
good game.
Yeah, it'd be a good game, but a bit of a nail biter, wouldn't it, as well? But yeah.
So but I don't think you can. This is a funny time of year where you get some weird results as well, and surely at some point, because Bournemouth are flying at the moment.
Cool, yeah.
No league is quicker than the Premier League when a supposed weakness is found for other teams to take advantage of that weakness. That's what I'm thinking. At some point, people are going to learn how to play against Bournemouth, or maybe they're not. Maybe the manager's just a genius.
Well, and Sunderland as well. I mean, Sunderland are flying. I mean, who would have called that?
Bournemouth have got a tiny squad, and I can't believe Sunderland is as good as they are. I know, but you know why they are. But a couple of key injuries, like Xhaka, maybe.
Yeah. But they've made a lot of very, very good signings. I think we underestimated them a little bit first game of the season, which is understandable because we hadn't seen them play, and it's the first time that anyone saw them play together. But I think they've got a really good squad. And they could do a Forest type thing, where they get in Europe, because if they carry this on, particularly up to the end of after Christmas, they're in with a serious shout of getting a European spot. And who the heck would have called that? I had them down as relegation candidates. Honestly, I genuinely felt they were going to go down. Yeah.
Well, Leeds didn't look special. They looked beatable the other day. Burnley definitely looked beatable. So this is kind of what I expected, and they're the two that ran away with it. Their points totals were ridiculous when they had top of that league, and the goals conceded for both of them. And yet Sunderland have spent money. They've shown you how to spend money as well, haven't they?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It all comes down to good recruitment. That's what it always comes down to, and they've clearly done it very, very well.
Would you put Kante on the bench, or would you put Phil on the bench?
I'd have Kante over Fearon, I think.
Yeah,
I would.
Why is it all gone quiet for Fearon? Brian, do you know anything about the youth team?
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, he's still producing, he's still doing well, but I think I'd probably go Fearon on the bench personally. But hopefully they'll, both of them will get their chance.
The reason why I'm saying Kante over Fearon is not down to ability necessarily; it's down to physicality, because Fearon's very, very small and he's still got to put on a lot. He has, right? So and Kante already is quite a unit. And I think you need that in the Premier League, that level of physicality. So I think I would rather Kante, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Theron because he looks like someone that's he's got some creativity.
Imagine how excited I get if Phil was coming on. Imagine if he was 9 outs.
Right, can I answer, Brian? Do you know about Phil Theron? Do you know about Phil Theron?
Don't say no, Brian. Don't say no. Phil Theron in Galaxy.
Have you heard of Phil Theron in
Galaxy? Mid-80s.
No.
Yes, thank you. My God, another.
My God, you must be Chris's age. That's so disappointing.
Basically, it's a singer from the past that I've not heard of. Martin's not heard of.
Mid-80s.
Give me a song. Give me a title song.
Dancing Tight. And there's another one as well, which is very good. Because I was going to set a little video. If he scored for us, I was going to set a little video, little short on Twitter. Yeah. What's the other song? Tell me, people. There is another song that's even better known. No, people in the comments know. Look, see,
Gary calls him Phil Theron. So it's got to the point now where Martin also thinks his name is Phil because Gary says it's Phil so much. Yeah. And even at times I have to do a double check as well to make sure.
I want to get it. So his girlfriend even is calling him Phil. You know what I mean?
God, yeah.
With Preston Theron though, like, have you been watching Arsenal when they bring on Dowman? Like that 15-year-old, he comes. I know it's different playing for Arsenal, but I see him come on the other night, and he's like, he holds onto the ball. He got fouled like twice, and they won free kicks straight away from it. Yeah. It's so exciting to have a young player on the bench like that.
Player you've just referred to, Dowman, right? So I know about him, and I've known about him for about a year and a half now because there's a guy I know through work. And he knows his parents somehow. There's some kind of link to it. And he told me about this kid and he said, he's unbelievable. Like, honestly, unbelievable. Like a once-in-a-generation type talent. And the fact that he broke into the Arsenal team is of no real surprise to me based on what someone told me. So I think he's with respect, I don't think you can compare him to like a Preston Theron. He's on another planet, this kid. Like, genuinely.
No, I wasn't comparing the players, but it's just nice. Arsenal have got that little thing where they can just drop him in and out at the end of games. It's so exciting to have that young talent, isn't it, on the bench?
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, you love that. As West Ham fans, we love nothing more than that, do we? So
before we move on to the fun, I was just everyone that I spoke to after that Man United game out in the States just wanted to see more of Phil Theron. Really, really did. Tony, no. It's not going back to my roots. Go away. It's not. You doing well until then. That's like Odyssey or something.
Going back to your roots, Gal, has got to be like the Everly Brothers or Elvis or something.
Fuck off, 1969, Summer of Love.
I recognise him. I'm looking at a picture of this guy now, man, and it does look like a record cover that might be in the collection.
You suddenly realise that you know his songs. Especially there's one, the other day. I can't remember what it's called. The other one. It's only mid-80s, mid to late. I think 85, 86. Right now, I was hoping that he looked like Preston Theron, but he don't. Never been seen in the same room, you know what I mean?
That would be a bit weird.
I know. Weird. Right, so let's move on to the fun half. So, a few questions for you to mull over, people in the chat. That's it. Everybody's laughing. That is the best. That is the well-known song. Look that up, Chris. You'll know it.
I won't, but I will look it up. I promise. Yeah.
I can even play it because we're going to get copyright banned anyway at the end when I play that video, right? So not banned, copyright strike. That's not really a copyright strike.
I love your passion for this, just convincing us it's something to do with Phil Theron.
It's a mission. It's my calling. So a few questions. So who were you convinced was the next big thing, but turned out to be useless? There must be loads of examples of those. So who have you been, absolutely raging? Not raging. What's the thing? Enthusiastic beyond belief, off the charts, and they turned out to be useless. So that's question number one for you people in the chat, and you three. But these are Chris's questions, by the way. They're better than my questions.
I didn't even think of the answer, mate. To be honest with you, because
you got time to think because I'm going to go through five of them. Right? Name and shame your worst ever prediction. Bloody hell, there's been a lot of them this year.
Well, let's just go for the first one because I'm going to get confused because I can't remember this now. So, ask Brian or
who were you convinced by, really enthusiastic about, and they turned out to be not very good?
For me, it's got to be Savio when he was coming in.
when did you ever get enthusiastic about Savio? He's
No,
on the
but
pitch for
it was-
5 minutes. We useless.
no,
I
but-
took him off. Yeah.
The hype, I think, what did they paid a lot of money for him at the time for his age, didn't they? And
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
bloody hell, we're getting something special here, and we barely see him, did we? He hardly played at all, and it's the biggest
look at
flop
this one.
ever.
Look at this
Sonny
one. The
Perkins,
special
Sonny.
one. I'm not going to lie. I'm really wrong about players. Right. Ravel Morrison had all the talent, but love poetry. No, I don't think he did actually. I think he's got
That's a
ADHD
great
now,
one.
and he was just. There's a big story about Ravel Morrison that we can't go into, but it weren't that, right?
He was a great player, he was.
Yeah, he was a very talented player.
That's an interesting one.
There was a podcast with him recently where he was talking about, you know, one there where they have ex-footballers on there on YouTube. Really interesting listen, actually. Shame, real shame. Sonny Perkins was one, definitely.
Yeah.
Who was the geezer that ended up at Southend that scored a goal on his debut and we're saying was the next Tony Cottee?
Freddie Sears.
Freddie Sears, yeah.
Well, he scored against Blackburn, didn't he? He came on as a sub and he scored that diving header, and I think, and then he done the crossed irons thing. And you're like, yes,
He's
you know,
still,
one of our own.
He's still going, isn't it? Freddie Sears is still playing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Playing, I think he's playing non-league at like either Billericay or Braintree or somewhere like that. He's still playing.
he's still-
He is.
yeah.
He's still going. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a shame.
That's a good one.
It is Jeremy Ngaki, because I was enthusiastic about him, I have to be honest.
There's a name that's come up in the chat here, and I'm going to tell you, right? I actually am 100% guilty of thinking that he was going to be brilliant for us, and he didn't come from our youth team. And this is embarrassing, actually. And that's Marco Boogers. And it sounds so bad, right? And let me explain why, just before I make myself sound like a complete twit. So this was mid-90s, like 95. We signed Marco Boogers. We didn't really have a striker. You know, Tony Cottee was on his way out. Trevor Morley out the door, all that, you know. And then we signed this random geezer from the Dutch league. And I'm getting quite hyped. I see him on the back of the newspaper, blowing bubbles, sitting in the stand west. I'm like, who's this guy? And then I looked at his record, and he'd scored loads of goals in Holland. I'm thinking this guy's going to be the difference for us. And look how that panned out. I mean, the geezer makes his debut against Leeds, because I was there for that. Then he went to Old Trafford for his next game, comes as sub, and basically nearly killed Gary Neville. So that one for me was, I genuinely thought he's going to be great. And you know what? The funny thing about him is, and I think I said this to you before, Gal, I used to go to loads of the reserve games where you'd pay 20p to go in. You'd pay 20p to watch the game, right? I'd sit down the West End and I watched West Ham play, and I'll never forget this. We played Swindon Town. And actually, I had an exchange with Marco Boogers online about that. We were talking about this a little while back. And I watched him play, and he was unbelievable. And I know it's Swindon reserves, I get it. But he scored a goal from the most ridiculous angle I've ever seen. He scored a brace that night, and I was like, he's going to be brilliant. Get him in the team, he's going to score goals. But clearly, he was fucking shit. But he was the one player that I genuinely was. I wouldn't rave about.
We don't really know that he
felt
was
there something
shit.
there.
We don't know that he was shit. He was a bit mad, but we don't know that he was shit.
Well,
do we, really.
I asked when I interviewed Ian Foyer, our ex-goalkeeper, right? I asked because he was mentoring because he could speak Dutch, because he was playing in. He was playing for Bruges, and he said to me, Marco Boogers was actually a really talented player, but mentally he was fucked. Like, his head was all over the place. You know, I remember like the story he told me was, you know, he had to try and help him out and acclimatise him to, you know, being in the UK. He took him down to car rental showroom. Marco Boogers jumps in the car and he drives it straight into a lamppost, walks off and goes home. He was completely off his nut, Marco Boogers. He's crazy. Yeah. So that's my one. That's my one.
This was in the days, though, where the players were just like the guy that unfortunately Joey Beecham, who came in from, you know, into West Ham, and they didn't used to help players, right? They didn't help them, not like they do today, where they help them settle, and they got people who can. I know it wouldn't be a language problem with him, but it would definitely be, you know, back then, even moving from somewhere like Swindon or wherever it was he came from, it's out of town, it's different, right? Abu didn't turn out. Abu, I still remember that Arsenal penalty. I remember that Arsenal penalty that broke my heart in the FA Cup early that season. We started that game, we were like a train, weren't we?
I loved watching Abu. I think there's something weird in it, because when I was younger and I watched West Ham in the 90s, and you'd see Abu, he signed for us for like 200 grand. No one ever heard of him. I think he played for Mets or something like that. Came to West Ham, and he was tearing it up for us. You know, I remember he had was it against Barnsley where we won like 6-0? I think it was something like that. This geezer looked like the next Messi. And well, he was before Messi, and I was like, "Wow, this guy 200 grand." But then he just completely tailed off, didn't he? But he was a bit of a cult hero, wasn't he? Abu was a cult hero.
He was exciting, man. It's funny times. That is a blast from the past, man. I had to laugh at that one.
But you love those players, though, like the Harry Redknapp would come up from nowhere, and they did well.
By the way, there's a Harry Redknapp podcast with Mick. What's his name? Who used to manage Sunderland and whatever, you know, Mick
McCarthy.
Yeah.
McCarthy.
And Tony Pulis, who was one of, I didn't know this, but when Harry managed at Bournemouth, he actually took on Pulis as a player because he's seen him get stuck in 2-footed. He needed someone a bit naughty and he brought him in. But it's a really good listen. It's not the usual cliche shit that you get with Harry Redknapp. It was like him talking like managers to other managers. And it's a really good picture of what he used to be like to be a football manager. And I enjoyed that. Jonathan Spector, I don't know. Did you actually think he was going to be great? I never did. I always had my doubts. There was that game in the snow where he scored a hat-trick against
Man
that
was mad, that game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a Carling Cup
He scored
game.
a double. I think he scored a double, didn't he? Yeah, against his old team.
This guy, Tony Martinez, he was tearing it up in the youth team and he was on the bench for first team and the crowd kept singing for him to come on.
I remember that.
Then he came on like twice, did nothing, and the song never got sung again. And he disappeared.
Yeah, we say disappeared. I think about 2 seasons after that, he's playing in the Champions League for Porto. I think it was Porto or one of the Portuguese teams, and he scored a couple in that. But then his career's again tailed off a little bit.
I've got a problem with this Melster. Gokhan, you thought he was going to be fantastic. I mean, that's like saying Zaza. You thought Zaza was going to be fantastic.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to lie. I
that
thought Zaza. I'm not going to lie. I was one of those, man. I was one of those.
You were Zaza fan.
Zaza would do all right. Yeah, just based on like his form and record in other leagues. But I tell you, with this one, I wouldn't go Reece Orford. I'd go Reece Oxford for me. It's someone. It's just a shame how his career just fiddled out in the way it did because he had so much potential.
I wonder why that was because I know he got a big deal, which was 25 grand a week, which is nothing now, right? But that game at Arsenal on the opening day of the season where he had what's his name in his pocket. I mean, it was very very good, wasn't it? Yeah, that's it. And he just something went wrong. I wonder what it is. I wonder if it's psychological or if it's something where they get a little bit too full of themselves and believe a little bit too much in their own ability, or they think they've made it and that's all they have to do, maybe. Yeah. Or whether it was just genuinely he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, but that's a shame, that one, because I'd agree with you. I think Reece Oxford, he looked like he was going to be the one, didn't he? But then suddenly Declan Rice emerged and he never ever got even a look in, did he? I think he's still in Germany, isn't he? I think he's playing in Germany at the moment and maybe not playing a great deal either from what I can remember.
He was injured for a lot of last season, I think, and I think they let him go, if I'm not mistaken. Adria Lacey, Jordan Hugill, that's a mystery. Whatever.
No, Jordan. I never expected anything from Jordan Hugill. No. The only thing I was wondering was why the hell have we signed the guy? I never got that one.
Sears is at Chatham. Didn't we send one of our youth players out to chat? No,
I don't know. No. I'm not sure.
I must be wrong. Anyway, look, let's move on. We've got Ashley Fletcher. We got Freddie Eastwood. God, there's some blasts from the past here and there.
I like the Danny Williamson one. That was a good shout. I liked him.
John Radford, who scored hatfuls for Arsenal before my time, joined West Ham, couldn't score a goal, sold him, started scoring goals again. Apparently. So he's a legend. Yeah.
Do you remember this one here? Danny Shipp. He was tearing it up in the youth team, weren't he? Mid-90s. He never made it, did he?
No.
Yeah. That's actually not true about him going to live in a caravan in Holland. He told Chris that weren't true.
Yeah, that's not true at all, apparently. It's annoying because I want it to be true. I wanted that to be true, but no, he's... Right. He wasn't quite right in the end, though. That is true.
That was a fun question, though, Chris. You got a good response, better than my questions. I don't want to say anything. I'll give you a little bit of credit for once.
Well, I just thought it's quite interesting when you look at certain players that we were really raving about, and they never really kind of made it. And there's a lot of names in there. Some that I can't quite remember. Like there's one here from his Obsidian that said Gary Alexander. I remember him as well, mid-90s.
Yes.
And you might be. I don't know if I'm right here, but from memory, I think he went to Exeter and he scored a lot of goals in the lower league. But he was one player in the youth team you thought was going to turn into quite a prolific striker. It didn't happen. Steve Jones, another one. You loved it when we signed
Soap
players
Factory, Steve Jones.
Was he 50 grand from the Soap Factory from Billericay Town? Yeah. He scored against Spurs, all that stuff. But you love it when you get players like that. I suppose it's very similar in a way to Leicester when they signed Jamie Vardy, when they come non-league and suddenly they break through and make it into the Prem. Those sort of signings are brilliant.
It was actually Simon Brewer that told me the real story about Ravel Morrison. It's nothing like was said earlier. It's not something that he could help. He was a pawn in a game, right? So, no, it is. I can't really talk about it, to be honest. But whatever Simon's saying, yep, he knows the story. He knows the score.
Yeah.
Who's scoring goals at Blackpool? I don't know.
I don't know, mate.
Well, whatever. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. We'll do one more question, yeah? And let's have a look. Let's choose the best one. Right. Okay, here we go. If the current squad had normal jobs, who would be doing what job?
This one I really like. There's a funny old question.
I love that question.
Yeah.
So let's go through them. Let's go through them, right? Let's go through them. Areola, Alphonse Areola with the many haircuts. What would he be doing for a
on that
normal job?
note, I'm going to call this one out straight away. I'm going to say barber. I'm going to say barber
Yeah.
because he's had so many hairstyles, you know. But
100%.
he's got to be a barber. Anyone else?
JWP stacking shelves in Tesco. Really slowly. So
there are some easy ones, isn't there? Like Bowen.
Yeah.
Bowen would definitely be on the farm, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is more like it. Areola would be a porn star. Of course he would.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
When he had that moustache
That
last
agrees.
season. Yeah.
He'd be mafia. About that. Hairdresser. Right. Okay. Let's go for next one. Hairstylist. Blah 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 blah. Right. Who's next, Chris? Call one out.
I want to try. Let's go with Thomas Suchek. Let's go. Yeah,
Oh,
Thomas
Suchek. Now you can do some interesting
Butcher.
observations.
Butcher.
A butcher.
I'm going to go with
You could
Thomas.
see him as a butcher with a big white coat. And
Do you know what I'm going to go with
and-
Suchek, Gowan? You'll get this one. I think you'll understand this one. I'm going to go with software developer because you get a lot of those Eastern Europeans. They love a bit of coding, don't they? So I've got to go with software developer for Suchek.
Yeah.
So-
I like it. I like it.
You're not coming in. Your name is not down.
Or behind the salad counter, serving up potato salad, potentially.
Yeah.
You know, that could be another one.
What's it called? The deli counter, isn't it? Suchek.
The deli counter. Yeah.
Painter. I don't
He'd be
see
eating it all.
Well, a painter. Do you mean a painter decorator? Not a painter. I don't see him as a painter.
Yeah, nah.
It's a subject. It's all subjective, mate. You know, no one's
Well,
right.
yeah.
No one. Come on, this is not like he
I've got to be able
definitely
to
would
see
have
it in
been.
your mind. I've got to be able to visualize it, Chris.
Yeah, but you can't say that he definitely would have been this or that. It's just, you know, everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah, but some opinions are wrong. That's all. It is.
Yeah, and your one's always right. Yeah.
Traffic warden. Yeah, he could actually. He could be a traffic warden. Yeah. We cannot there.
Everything he'd do would be really sort of over the top as well, wouldn't it? He'd be getting injured doing it. Even he'd be tripping over everywhere, cuts.
Yeah. The clumsiest traffic warden ever, or the traffic warden that always took a beating from people that didn't want a ticket. You know.
Yeah. Let's go the other end of the scale. Let's go for someone really small. What could Jimmy Somerville? What could he do as a job?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's really hard, isn't it, to imagine what they might be doing in another life. But
Yeah.
Somerville.
See,
I
I can see him being a barber.
Right? Yeah.
What'd you say, Brian?
Barber.
Another barber. That's do you know
Yeah.
what? I think there's a few barbers in this team actually. I think Somerville could be a barber. Yeah, I can see that as well. Actually, I can definitely see that.
Singer.
Yeah, look,
I think
chimney sweep because he's like really small. Yeah, like it. Childminder. Yeah. Pop singer. Yeah, he could be a pop singer. He's a stylish look. High jumper. Yeah, how high is it? A high jumper aren't they usually tall?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Let's just go with barber. I think you're right, but
Low jumper, you mean, Dave?
I can see Areola and Somerville having their own shop together. You know, I can see it. You know, me waiting for Areola to cut my. I can see it.
Builder, Jimmy, a dancer, top dancer. Then it's been extended to lap dancer. All right, DJ Jimmy. Yeah, that's enough for Jimmy. Right, Igor. Nobody knows Igor. You must be able to position him somewhere. Don't do bouncer.
I'd see him in like being in like some kind of mafia or something in Brazil or something. You know, because he's like you say, he's built like a brick shithouse. He looks like a mean bastard, doesn't he? You wouldn't want him. Yeah, you wouldn't want him knocking on your door. So I'd say, or maybe like some bare knuckle fighter or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was funny when he came on, wasn't he? Did you see him? He pressed right up the front at one point. It's like, what is going on? Where's this bloke playing? So I really wanted to make an impression.
Someone's gone bouncer.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that sort of style.
Kilman. Go with Kilman, right? I'm going to say Kilman,
Yeah,
PE teacher.
We have two
PE
more.
teacher.
We have Kilman and think of another one, Chris. We'll have Kilman, Max Kilman.
I'll say
Max
PE
Kilman?
teacher.
Kilman's a good one. Yeah. PE teacher.
Yeah.
I like that. He's versatile. He could be in the office, or he could be
He
like
could
some
do administration.
taxman.
He could work in accounts, couldn't he? He could work in accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
On
could
the
be an
top.
accountant because he's got that type of personality. And hopefully, I mean, look, I don't want to stereotype accountants here, but typically they're quite quiet and timid, aren't
Nothing
they?
wrong with accountants.
No, nothing wrong with them at all. And I know a few, but I'm just saying they're typically, they are quite relatively
Yeah, do
quite
you know any
timid.
wild ones? You don't, do you?
No, I can't think of any, mate. I
No.
can't. No.
No.
Yeah.
Dog whisperer. He could be a dog whisperer.
Window cleaner.
And that's controversial, isn't it? Office ponce. So he's taken the office idea and he's built on it. He could be an electrician.
Dave's got a good one on Kilman. English teacher, because I think he's actually quite, he's quite literate.
He's
isn't
quite
he?
learned.
Yes.
He's quite learned.
He's quite a smart bloke, and I think he's quite an intelligent guy. He could be an English teacher, but probably one of those English teachers where you could just literally talk back to him and he wouldn't do fuck all about it. It'd be one of those type of
that's
English
right.
teachers.
That's right. Yeah. We had loads of those.
Yeah, I bet you gave him shit.
I've got
didn't
one,
you,
man. Paqueta be a tennis player.
Yeah, he would
See him being a tennis
Definitely
player.
be a tennis
diving
player.
around.
I bet he can play tennis. Go on, give us your Paqueta ideas. This is the last one we're going to do.
It's a tough one.
Estate agent. Kilman could be an estate agent. Yeah, it could be.
Not a very good one though. I can't imagine him selling much.
Bank manager. I wouldn't fancy him. If he was an electrician, I wouldn't fancy him wiring up a few new switches for me, would you? He'd fall asleep halfway through or something.
No.
Be like this geezer I'd come round to paint the house and he accidentally chop sawed his finger off.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate.
Imagine how
In your
painful that
house?
was.
In
The
your
geezer
house?
just put it in a bag, went up to the hospital, got it sewed on, and then the next day he came back with that hand in a bag, a plastic bag, and carried on painting with one arm.
This is
What
in your
the hell
house.
was
It's
he
happening in your
using a
house.
chop?
Yeah.
What was he
Double-
using
double
a chop
hardy,
saw
was
for? To
You
paint your
were
house?
happy for him to carry on doing that, were you? You're just like, go on,
Not
crack on,
really,
mate.
but he was insistent.
Hopefully the walls were red.
I
Because otherwise,
tell him, look, I'm going to have to give you half pay, mate, because you can only work half.
oh yeah,
I didn't. That'd
Yeah.
be mean, wouldn't it?
You only get 90%. You only got the fucking 9 fingers and thumbs.
Was you not questioning why a painter turned up with a chop saw?
Well, no, because I asked him to
what's that all about?
I asked him to replace the skirting, and he said, "Yes, I can do it." He's one of these guys. Yeah,
Oh,
no
right.
problem. I'll do it. I could have done the skirting, but I got bad knees. I didn't want to. Couldn't be asked.
So it's partially
So
your
he's
fault,
cutting
then,
an
basically.
angle, and he cut an angle on his finger as well. Sadly, poor bloke.
Jeez.
He was all right though. It was fine. He was there for another 2 weeks. It was completely healed. He could use it again by the end, pretty much. Pac-Man is in a Gucci model. He's a Gucci model. Yeah, maybe. Paqueta's a ball boy.
No, Paqueta being a tennis player, I get that actually. He's got that kind of look about him. When I look at certain tennis players in the past,
Betting shop owner. Limbo dancer, everything over. You probably could actually. If you've seen him when he's dancing, he's got very good balance, hasn't he? Very good balance.
He'd be a good Zumba instructor, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Diver. Preacher. Yeah, he could do that. No, I reckon Nuno could be a preacher.
Yeah. Solutions.
Yeah, ask the last question I said to you about the embarrassing stories thing. Yeah, because I'm
All
interested.
right, last question.
Like,
And
James,
I'll
I'm
only
gonna
read
put-
the
let-
good
let-
ones out. I'll
let
only
me-
read the
let-
good ones out, right?
Well, let me ask Brian this as well. First of all, right?
Go on.
Most embarrassing thing, if there is, of course, that's happened to you at a West Ham game. Now, this could be result related. It could be related to an altercation that you had with someone, something like that. And Martin, you can have a think about this as well while Brian is thinking about this. So maybe you, Gary, you've got one as well.
Do you know what? I've got one straight away. It's easy for me. This is going back. This is going back quite a few seasons at London Stadium. This is when I used to sit not far from you lot. I used to be Bobby Moore lower.
Yeah.
And I basically I had a drink on me, like non-alcoholic drink, and I was walking down the steps, and I kind of caught the end of one step, and you know when you do that kind of it kind of went away, and like basically, the drink that just like went all over my chest and jacket, basically, and like fell on my ass. Do you know what I mean? And I just kind of you know, there's ones where it was just like so embarrassing. I couldn't even get up quickly. I just.
How did you start? Did you start it out though, Brian? Did you start it out or what? You got to try and start it out.
You've got to get up quickly.
I tried to
look straight forward. Don't make eye contact. Yeah.
I couldn't even like I kind of like fell that way. Do you know what I mean? So I was just drinks everywhere. I'm like doing this, and
Claire can't believe you didn't style it out. Of course you styled it out. None to see.
Do you know, this reminds me of something that happened about a couple of weeks ago. I went down to a college for my daughter, looking at basically checking out various colleges. So we were over in Colchester College, and we were waiting by a lift, and these guy come out there's a wheelchair, and the guy was pulling out the wheelchair. I think it was his son in the wheelchair, and his foot got stuck under the wheelchair, and he had a cup of coffee in his hands. And as he pulled out, this geezer went flying, and he threw the coffee everywhere. And there was a load of people in front of him. Thankfully, I wasn't one of them. This woman got soaked with the coffee. He got soaked with the coffee, and he was on the floor, embarrassed. He tried to style it out, but then because the kid was in the wheelchair, and and the bloke fell on the floor, I don't think the woman felt compelled to worry about the fact that she was soaked and burning in coffee. She was like, "Oh, you all right?" And I looked at her, she was covered in it. I was like, "Oh my god! Like, what do you do about that?" It's like, for fuck's sake, I'm covered in brown coffee. What'd you do?
That's bad. That's bad.
I know.
There's only one that springs to mind, and that was when we were celebrating a goal, and I was several stone heavier. But you always feel like the light bloke inside, right? Even when you're carrying a few extra pounds. And this guy, who I've been talking to every week, we scored surprise goal, brilliant goal, whatever it was. We're dancing in the aisles because the old Bobby Moore low, we had no one in front of us. We could, we had plenty of space to express ourselves. Anyway, we've gone into a big cuddle, and I've jumped on him, right? And so he's taking my full weight, and I can feel his legs start to buckle, and we start to sway over to one side like that. He just got off in time, the poor fucker. He was nearly done. Would have been.
He's got a couple of slip discs though now.
Completely. Yeah, he ain't walked since probably.
I had one thing that and this is going to sound really rude on my part, and it is a bit rude, and I shouldn't have said it at the time. But this is back in must have been around about 2005, 2006, and I had a season ticket in the West Upper in Upton Park. And where I sat, there was a guy that wasn't always there, but he was massive. And when I say massive, he was a beast. Like, he was huge, not a beast. He was obese, and he didn't always turn up for games. But anyway, I remember one particular time I was talking to one of my mates who I had a season ticket with, and I turned around and I said, "Thank God that fat fucker ain't here. He should be paying for 2 season tickets, the size of him, right?" I turned around. No, he's not next to me. He's fucking standing behind me. And he goes, "You talking about me, mate?" I was like, "No, not you."
No, he's much fatter than you, mate. He's much fatter than you.
but I felt so bad about it. But I think in fairness,
stomach. You're not fat.
but I'm not. I don't feel like I'm necessarily wrong, because when you've got someone who genuinely takes up 2, and he had one arse cheek on one seat and the other arse cheek on the other seat.
Yeah. That's like getting an aeroplane with someone that does that, isn't it?
I think you should be paying for 2, but I know you can't do that. I know you can't do that. But I was a bit rude, and I got called out on that, to be fair. But Martyn, you got any?
The only thing
nothing
I can
against
think
fat people, by the way. Sorry, nothing against people.
No.
Sorry, just to put out there.
This is an equal opportunity show. Go on, Chris. Go on.
The only thing I can think of is pre-match. I was desperate for the toilet. I'm talking about, go or go home sort of thing.
Oh no.
And I was in Westfield, and I kept going to these different toilets, and there was queues at every one. So I'm like running to the next one, and I get to this toilet, and there's a massive queue going round, but I can see down the side of it there's a disabled thing, and I could see the door was open. So I go in the disabled thing, come out, and as I come out, there's some disabled person waiting to come in, and I just didn't know what to do, and I just sort of limped away from the toilet. It's the only thing I could do, really.
Carry one leg in the other hand, like lift the leg up.
I had to go. I really had to go. Well, there was no choice.
We won't go on about Claire and Ian Dowie again, right? Because we've done that to death, and that a special player. Right.
Well, I don't think we ever spoke about it, though, did we?
Not?
The fact that Claire's brought it up, I feel maybe we should.
It was a nightclub in Ilford, wasn't it? I think.
Anyone that knows Ilford or Seven Kings, the Shannon, right, the Shannon Centre. Sorry, Claire. Shall we say it? Shall I say it? I don't know. Shall I say it?
I don't know. Let's see if she gives you permission to
say it.
Right,
Claire, shall I say it? Like, do you know what? If you're in the chat, you are in the chat, obviously. You're modding it. Yeah. Tell me if you're happy for me to share this.
Now, I've had this experience where, like that thing where went to a game with girlfriend at the time, had a few drinks on the way out of the station. I fell on escalator. Oh no, that's not the one. I fell on an escalator, and she had to help me up. Yeah, that's bad. I did a 180 on ice in the city, but got up, regained my composure, and carried on walking. I don't think anyone noticed. I'm sure they did notice.
I had one actually. It was last season when we were playing Man United at home, and I was walking back to the car park, and I tripped over one of the paving stones, and I just kept going. Like it was like I was just literally waiting to face plant on the floor. And honestly, I'm not even kidding you. I must have gone for maybe somewhere between maybe up to 10 meters of me so close to literally face planting. Everyone was kind of laughing around. It's so embarrassing when stuff like that.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
I didn't do a Brian though, so it wasn't quite that bad.
What surprised me, because I did that one of those race days once where they tried to teach you to drive on a skid pan and control skids and stuff like that, right? But that's different to controlling a skid with your own feet. So when I was doing marathon training once, I was running through the winter, and I went through part of my route for this run was through a forest. And it had been raining overnight. And I remember reading in this running magazine that if you hit sort of sheet ice, just carry on running, right? Don't try and stop. Don't try and change direction. Just carry on running. Similar to, just remain calm. And so I did it. I came, it must have been 20 foot long, this fucking bit of ice that I just run onto. And I thought, well, I've got a decision to make. I've got to carry on. I've got to carry on running, and So I started running. I got traction. I thought, this is going so well. I'm like 6 foot in. It's brilliant. Getting confident now. Then it just all fucking went wrong. I skidded from halfway across the ice, off the side, into the trees. Hurt like fuck. First thing in the morning. Everything was frozen. It was like first thing in the morning, 5 a.m. or something. Everything was frozen. Everything hurt.
I've got this image of like Scooby-Doo, when
Scooby-Doo,
when it's running.
Yeah. We've all had this after a night on the beer and the curry, right? Jumped up too quick and think, oops, was that far?
Oh dear. Oh
God.
Shark. They're called a shark. Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
That was the playoff final, though. What did he do? Did he not go and see us lift the trophy and everything?
Here we go.
Shall I tell this story?
Go on, you tell it. You tell it. Go on.
All right. So, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Claire. You can say in the chat. So, Claire used to frequent the same clubs that I used to go to when I was a youngster as well. So she used to find herself down at the Shannon. There's a few kind of shady characters at the Shannon, in fairness, Yeah. And I think it's one of those types of nightclubs that if you didn't kind of get off with someone at the end of the night, it was an unsuccessful one, right? Anyway, so Claire used to go to the same place that I used to go to, and one particular night, and I might be wrong here, but I think there was Michael Hughes there. I think it was some of the Northern Irish contingent at West Ham. Yeah. So this had been back in the mid-90s. I think Michael Hughes, was it Kenny Brown as well? Not that he was Irish, but I think Kenny Brown was there. I think she said that. And Ian Dowie, which is why a lot of people that watch his channel regularly will know that we do joke about Ian Dowie with Claire quite frequently. Ian Dowie basically tried it on with Claire, and Claire unwillingly ended up snogging Ian Dowie on, I don't know, in the Shannon Centre, and she couldn't get the geezer off of her, like to the point where Ian Dowie's tongue was all in every orifice you can imagine, in a mouth. Sorry, right? No, in the mouth. Nowhere. I didn't say anywhere else. I'm just saying, like he did a proper mouth job on her, right?
Yeah.
And and so she did tell us about this, and ever since then we've been giving her a lot of stick. So now everyone knows Claire has exchanged bodily fluids with Ian Dowie.
Yeah,
that is a story right there. Sorry, Claire. You did say you said it.
It's out there now, Claire. It's out there now.
Yeah.
Dave H says, I passed out at Palace playoff, got stuck between the Roses seats, and then got covered by my West Ham flag. May have been the 15 points or so before kickoff. Yeah, I think it probably was. I once, the semi-final against Ipswich, the one away where Bobby Zamora scored twice, I think. We were sat in what used to be a terrace, and the seats were like really close together or something like that. And both times when we scored, I ended up upside down, pretty much on my head in the row behind, because it was wild, right? It was wild, brilliant. I was happy though, wasn't I? I was happy.
Yeah,
right.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think that's it. I don't think we've got any more in there, so let's leave it there.
Yeah,
we're done.
Yeah.
Oh, hour and 3/4. Bloody hell, we've done it again, haven't we?
Yeah. It's been a fun chat, and it's nice to actually have a show where we've got positive stuff to talk about. Yeah. And I think we do. And going on to the weekend, 3 points against Burnley. There's going to be a lot of smiles on everyone's faces, and of course the big protest. So
yes. And thank you, Brian, for joining us. You lived up to my expectations. So
thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
brilliant. Danny's just confirmed the jacket was terrible. There you go. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. I'm not having it's terrible. That's a bit tight. I actually still like that jacket, and I will wear it again. So
Can you
fuck you, Danny?
Can you get one of these hats? Oh no, I thought that was one of them hats.
Oh shit, that was random. What did you
No,
just?
no, no, no.
I did put that up. You put that up.
No, I thought it was one of them hats. I thought it was one of them hats.
You put yourself up.
I am considering dressing as a clown this weekend. I might. I ain't decided yet.
Hold up a minute. Have we not? We've got. This is you with. This is you right there.
No, that's AI me.
Yeah, but it is
me,
you.
is it?
Yeah, Brian. Do you see a resemblance of Penfold and Gary?
Don't agree, Brian.
Definitely. No, I have to agree with that one.
So, look, first of all, back to the protest. It's going to be a really brilliant event. So please, if you can make it down there in any way, shape or form, whether you're current or past or whatever West Ham fan, every person is important. Every person is welcome. It's going to be brilliant. And we're going to end the show on a bit of a, if a few of you ain't bawling your eyes out once you've watched this, I'd be very surprised. It's a beautiful piece of work. So, on that sad note, see you soon and come on your hands.